Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tetra Ninja, and we're once again checking out a brand new map that is going to be included in the Destiny House of Wolves DLC, which releases on May 19th. And this particular map is called Thieves Den, and I do switch out my primary weapon from what I was using in the last episode. In the previous video, I showed you guys gameplay using the Hawkmoon, which is more of a mid to long range hand cannon geared towards maps with long sightlines. And Thieves Den is more of a close quarters, in your face, small to medium range map. So we switched over to the Last Word exotic hand cannon, which is a medium impact, high fire rate hand cannon, whereas in comparison to the Hawkmoon is more of a high impact, slower firing hand cannon. And this is a complete fail blank right here. This is my first time playing the map, so I did not know there was a cliff of death right there when I pulled off my blink. Anyways, so on the other team we have a Prodigy from Enraged Cinema, Dado from Dado Does Destiny, and a representative from Planet Destiny. Planet Destiny is operated by multiple people, so yeah. I tried to play the objective as best I can, but once again, like the previous video, we do lose. They're a pretty stacked team, in my opinion. So in this video, I thought that we would kind of have like a serious talk, you know, kind of like a man conversation. I really never did a formal review of this game last year when it released. Never offered my opinions of it, so I thought I would do it now in this video. So this video is going to be dedicated to talking about what Destiny got wrong, what the game didn't do well at, and in the next video I will talk about what the game excelled at and why I decided that I wanted to keep playing it, basically why I like the game. So in terms of the cons, we'll get this out of the way. The story was not good. It was not good at all. It was not designed well, and Bungie has recognized this. They realized this, and for Destiny 2 they have actually hired some of the writers who wrote the Dragon Age series. So I am 100% convinced, even though it's not really saying much, the story in Destiny 2 will be a lot better in Destiny 1. There are actually a lot of interesting tidbits about Destiny if you go through the outside source material, such as Grimoire cards, or if you go on to the Bungie.net website, read up on all the extra stuff. But in my opinion, in order for a game to have a good story, you shouldn't have to consult outside source material. If it's not built or incorporated into the game well, then overall the game story is not good. So yeah, story was not done well in Destiny. And moving on to DLC and how it was handled. DLC about this game has been a little bit controversial in that, in comparison to what DLC normally is, which is optional, the DLC in Destiny, in my opinion, if you want to continue to play it, isn't really optional, because it actually locks out. If you don't have the DLC, some things are locked out to you that were included in the original game at launch. So let's, for instance, say the weekly Nightfall or Heroic. If the Nightfall or Heroic is the strike, which was included in the Destiny DLC, and then you don't get to do a Nightfall or Heroic that week. You just don't get it. So you don't have opportunity to acquire more strange coins or get a chance to get an exotic drop. So that's a kind of pretty big deal, which I know, in my opinion, probably should not ever have chosen. The game should not be able to choose an exclusive DLC map to be included for the weekly Heroic or Nightfall. And you can kind of argue whose fault is that? Is that Bungie's fault, or is that Activision's influence? I don't know. I can't tell you the real answer to that. But once again, probably not done very well. Well, not done well, in my opinion. And moving on to the next thing. This is also more of a recent thing, because they actually announced that there will not be a raid in the House of Wolves DLC, which is kind of controversial in that it kind of punishes people who expected one, especially those who purchased the season pass, kind of purchasing the season pass expecting there to be a raid. So you already have the consumer's money, so you can, in some people's opinion, you can start cutting content out. So that's once again up to speculation, but I call it out as how it is. And the next thing is bugs. There have been a bunch of bugs that have been addressed at varying degrees, such as every game has bugs. It's just a matter of how you fix them and how you address them. But there are still some bugs in this game, such as in the raids, that still haven't been fixed yet. So it's kind of, it is what it is. But my main criticism about this game surrounds its multiplayer, its matchmaking, or in this case, it's called the Crucible. And I think this is where a lot of long-term fans of Bungie games have felt a little bit betrayed. We all know Bungie's pedigree. They created the Halo franchise. They created a game, the game that made online first-person shooters on a console possible. So when this game was announced, we expected a pretty kick-ass multiplayer when it released, and what we got instead was something that was very, very much pretty bare bones. We had the deathmatch game type and some variation of domination with the flags. In this case, it's called control. But I'm just gonna say this, and this may be completely offside and turn you guys off, but the Halo franchise has never had a good storyline. The story in Halo games have always sucked. The only game in the Halo series that had a decent story was ODST. But I think this game tried to overreach a little bit and stretch itself too thin in terms of trying to do too much. And it's kind of the old saying, when you're the jack of all trades, you're the master of none deal. And like I said, we expected a lot of things, and I got fisted here, of course. We expected a lot of things when the multiplayer of this game was being released. We expected local support, so you can hook a bunch of your consoles together and play locally and not have to worry about local lag through the internet. And we expected custom matchmaking types, and we expected a more variation in the game types. So if you take the original Halo games, you had CTF, you had bomb arming, you have oddball, you have your standard deathmatch. But with this game, and even though this is going to be changed when House of Wolves released, with the elimination game type being introduced, you pretty much only had two game types. You had deathmatch and you had control, which is kind of like a domination type. There is skirmish, but that's still, I would still say, more of a subset of deathmatch. So since all that's, to give you an example, at the event I met a person who was more, what his channel focused was the more of the competitive Destiny. So playing online competitive multiplayer and trying to make against other players in a controlled environment. So he told me what they have to do, since you can't set up custom matches in Destiny. Basically, you have to queue up and hope that you would find the other team using the online matchmaking system. And for something that has always been included, such as custom matches, since the original Halo, for this game to not have it, in my opinion, is pretty much inexcusable. It's something that we just expected. Bungie knows matchmaking, they know multiplayer, and for this game to have it is just something that I still, to this day, cannot grasp and not get through my head, and how it was left out. It's probably something that's coming down the road, and it probably came down to a timing issue and making sure that the game released in a good amount of time. But once again, it's Bungie's pedigree. They know what they're doing in terms of multiplayer, and once again, you can chalk that up to maybe it's Activision's influence, that they wanted the game to come out a little bit earlier, so some things had to be scaled back and taken out. But once again, the multiplayer and the lack of core features from the previous Halo games is something that I was a long-time Halo fan, and it was something that was very disheartening when this game came out. So yeah, those are my issues with Destiny. I know it's kind of I got a little bit heated and passionate there, but we will go to the pros of why I like this game and why I still continue to play it in the next episode. So hopefully I will check in with you guys then. All right, as always, have a fantastic day.